I'm joined now by barrister at UK Lawyers for Israel, Natasha Hausdorff. Natasha, thank you very much. OK, so does it break international law?
Well, breaking international law is a bit of an odd way of putting it, but it certainly contravenes the very settled principles of international law and what is required for statehood, set out in the Montevideo Convention, but also really a fundamental, uncontroversial part of customary international law. One needs a defined territory for starters, government. We also have the need for the capacity to enter into foreign relations and the idea of a permanent population. But those first two criterion in particular are impossible for this supposed state of Palestine to comply with. And in that context, what we've heard from the Prime Minister and the Foreign Secretary so far is nothing short of ridiculous. The letter that was sent highlights the importance of upholding international law to this government, supposedly. But here we can see that, as many have suspected, it is more of a convenient label to attach to your policy in order to drive it through. I mean, this puts a lie to what this government has been saying about complying with international law up until this point.
Well, but it's also not just what they're doing at the moment. I mean, they've got a history of being utterly obsessed with international law, both Sir Keir Starmer and, crucially, our Attorney General. And they have used that as one of the main reasons behind things like the Chagos situation. So are they picking and choosing what international laws they care about? It's almost like you can interpret the law, isn't it, really?
Well, I'd say it's far worse than that. I think what we're witnessing is this phenomenon of the weaponization of international law to pursue a particular agenda. So many times you'll hear allegations of international law being violated or this government justifying policies on the basis of international law, which is completely contrary to what the law actually says. And because general levels of literacy on international law are not particularly high, unscrupulous people can get away with it. And we've seen that time and time again, unfortunately, with statements from this government. And this latest example, I mean, it's not just throwing international law out of the window on the recognition of statehood, but also international legal agreements which the United Kingdom has backed, including the Oslo Accords, under which there was an undertaking by parties not to take any unilateral action to change the status of the territory. So this is throwing the Oslo Accords out of the window. It leaves Israel in an impossible position when one considers that it simply can't trust agreements that it enters into with the backing of the international community when they're torn up with such little ceremony.
There's several angles to this. Sorry, Natasha, but I mean, one of the big ones is there's certain things. We're not going to go down this route now. But one of the big things, we can't turn the boats back in the channel because of maritime law, because we can't do that. There's a load of different things where really we are shackling ourselves as a country on a variety of different issues, deporting some people that we don't really like, criminals, etc., because of international law, because we've got this ruling. But then when it starts to look as though this government is picking and choosing about what international laws it cares about, or indeed just ignoring some to suit its own political agenda, it makes you wonder about the validity of the whole thing, really, doesn't it?
And it rightly should, because this is not the first example of international law being weaponized or misrepresented or manipulated in this fashion. I think people should be very much on their guard when they're told, this, that, or the other about what international law says by those that are seeking to pursue a particular political agenda. And if we're really going to be talking about international law, let's be clear that one of the cornerstones has always been the territorial integrity of sovereign states. And what this announcement also does is essentially violate Israel's territorial integrity. It's an attack on Israeli sovereignty. It's a misrepresentation of the status of the territory which is in question. Well, we haven't heard any particulars of that from Sir Keir Starmer, of course. It's all been extremely ambiguous, extremely vague, and all that has served is to encourage the terrorist actors here, the internationally prescribed terrorist organisation Hamas, which welcomed this move. I mean, that should tell the Labour government an awful lot about which side of history.
Yeah, if you're getting a pat on the back from Hamas, maybe take a step back and wonder what you've done. But Natasha, thank you very much. Natasha Hausdorff there, UK Lawyers for Israel.